Hello, thank you for your interest in learning more about my chapter, Empathy and Care Activities for Feeling Climate Change. I thought I'd make a short video to share a bit about my research and teaching journey that led me to writing this chapter for the Existential Toolkit. For as long as I can remember, I've been learning and teaching about history. I'm certified to teach K to 12 in Ontario, Canada. I also recently completed my PhD in education at Queen's University, and my dissertation explored historical empathy within history education in Canada. And now, as a postdoctoral fellow, I'm working for Thinking Historically for Canada's Future, a pan Canadian research project examining the state of K 12 history education in provinces and territories across Canada. So you could say that I spend a lot of my time thinking about teaching and learning history. But more recently, I've started thinking about how history might be able to help us navigate some of the most challenging issues of today, including the climate crisis. As a graduate student, I was a research assistant for my PhD supervisor, Dr. Heather McGregor, and as part of her project, we were reimagining history and social studies education for the Anthropocene. With our team, the Social Studies and History Education in the Anthropocene Network, or SHEAN for short, we designed lessons bringing together historical thinking and critical thinking, activity guides and prompts, and other resources for history educators. Many of these resources also centered feelings and emotions. At the same time, I was delving into my own research on empathy in history education, and I found that within Canada, the affective dimensions of learning about the past weren't really being considered in the scholarly literature. There wasn't a lot of emphasis on empathizing with others or caring about people, whether people in the past or others around us in the present. What I found from talking with history teachers is that they felt like they didn't have a lot of support or resources for approaching feelings and emotions in the history classroom. When the opportunity came to submit to the Existential Toolkit collection, I decided to bring together these two areas of my research and teaching interests and propose this chapter focused on feeling climate change in history education. Many of the guiding questions and activities were inspired by conversations I had with other teachers, those of us working in the Sheen project, and my own teaching experiences. Some of them have been facilitated with students before, and others are offered as possibilities for what could be. While I was teaching an environmental education course for pre-service teachers, I had an opportunity to try out some of the new activities. I had my students learn about the power of art for transformative learning experiences and engagement with climate emotions, and they created their own artwork that expressed their feelings and emotions about the climate crisis. I featured some of their artwork on this webpage about my chapter so you can see their responses. One that stood out to me that incorporated history. So the student painted a graph line showing global temperatures over time and used it as a timeline to then paint different species along it that have become endangered or extinct over time. The colors and techniques used expressed this student's feelings about climate change. So it was mostly dark, representing despair and anxiety, and then there was also some yellow in one corner to indicate hope for the future. And on the note of hope, I hope that you'll consider reading this chapter for other ideas of questions and activities you might incorporate into your history and social studies classes. And I should say that a lot of the ideas are cross-curricular or interdisciplinary, so they can be taken up in relation to other subject areas too. So happy reading, and I'd love to hear from you if you try out any of the activities.